interesting that Pope Francis chose today, Trinity Sunday, to celebrate a new day of prayer, a day of prayer for young people, for children. And he sent out this little letter. I'm not going to read a whole lot to you. You can look it up on the website. And it's addressed to children. Dear children, this is your first World Day, which will be held in Rome on the 25th and 26th of May. And that's why I thought of sending you a message. I'm happy you'll be able to read it, and I thank all those responsible for passing it on to you. I want to speak to each of you, my dear children, because as the Bible teaches us, and as Jesus showed us so often, you are precious in God's sight. All of you, girls and boys, are a source of joy to your parents and your families, but also for our own human family and for the church, in which each of us is like a link in a great chain stretching from the past to the future and covering the whole church, the whole world. And that is why I encourage you to pay attention to the stories of grown-ups, your mums and dads, your grandparents and great-grandparents, and not to forget all those other children and young people who are already battling illness and hardship in hospital or at home, and those who even now are being cruelly robbed of their childhood. I think of children who are victims of war and violence, those experiencing hunger and thirst, those living on the streets, those forced to be soldiers or to flee as refugees, separated from their parents, those prevented from going to school, and those who fall prey to criminal gangs, drugs, or other forms of slavery and abuse. Let us listen to their voices. We need to hear these voices. For amidst their suffering, they remind us of reality, with their tearful eyes and that tenacious yearning for goodness that endures in the hearts of those who have truly seen the horror of evil. And the Holy Father goes on to continue to ask us to pray for our young people. And the other evening I saw a little clip on the TV about an exhibition of paintings done by youngsters all over the world. Most of them were scenes of violence and war. But there were a few hopeful pictures, because often when you watch a TV clip, you will see children still playing, kicking an old football around, playing with a balloon. There was a little caption, even the newscaster said, this little girl was carrying a balloon, even though they were fleeing from the burnt-out houses around them. Youngsters give us hope for the future. But the Holy Father says, remember to pray for all the family, mom and dad, grandparents, great-grandparents. And quite often I say when I'm here doing baptisms, where do you get your faith from? Who gave you the faith? Who helped you to believe in the Trinity? Sometimes it's grandma and granddad. I've watched them coming up here to church, going over maybe to the Blessed Sacrament or Our Lady's altar here, or Sacred Heart Chapel here, lighting a candle. It's a simple little thing, but they know what they're doing. They're offering a prayer. And grandma and granddad tells them maybe to kneel down and say a prayer. Or maybe it's great-grandma and great-granddad doing that. The stories that they tell us. I had a grandmother in yesterday speaking with great love about her grandchildren. And she was showing me on her iPhone the prayers she sends every day to them. Now, during the week, I was in Dublin to see Father Pascal Dillon. Those of you who know him, he's 92 years of age. He's pretty frail. But I had an opportunity to visit a shop as well, a religious shop called Veritas. And one of the things that caught my eye, and I'm going to talk to Jean in the shop at the back about it, was a picture of a robin. They're lovely little pictures of robins. And people often say, that's God coming into our lives. Many times when I've gone up to where my parents are buried in West Hampstead, a little robin appears on the tree or the headstones around us. And I always say, yes, I know you're with me. Because I believe that's the way God communicates with us. Little things like that. The love of a child for its parents or grandparents. You probably all got a picture on your mantelpiece, hanging in your wall, of your grandchildren or your children when they were small. And you remember them and you pray for them. So think of the children today. The love of the Trinity is reflected in the love of families. And St. Eugene of Nazareth had great love for young people as well. Father Eduardo, Sister Imelda will speak about that later on. But each of us remember, the Trinity is God's love for us. The Father loving through the Son, giving us his Spirit. The Gospel says, go out and make disciples of all nations in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Spirit. Each of us can do that. Every boy and girl here today, you can do it. Every old person, you can do it. Let's just pray the Lord help us to do that today.